Can I ask you something? Honestly, how many times have you almost stopped writing? Not like you make a big decision, but just decided that I'm not going to write anymore. And then that's it. You skipped a day, then another, and then another. You told yourself you'd come back to it when you felt more like it, but that feeling never quite arrived. This is the part that no one really talks about. Not the beginning where everything feels new, not the phase where it's going well, but the middle stretch where nothing feels particularly meaningful anymore. You're writing, but it doesn't feel deep. You're showing up, but nothing seems to be happening. And naturally, a thought appears. What's the point of continuing this? I've been there, not once, many times in the past 15 years of my writing career. Because when something doesn't give you immediate feedback, it's hard to trust that it's doing anything at all. And writing is exactly like that. It doesn't reward you instantly, it doesn't tell you this is working, it just stays the same. And you are the one who starts to question it. But here's what I've noticed, and it took time to see this clearly. The change doesn't happen on the days when writing feels good. It happens on the days when you don't want to write but you still do. That's the part that shifts something. Not because the page itself is better. Honestly, those entries are often the most ordinary ones. But because you stayed. And staying, especially when you feel like leaving, does something to how you relate to yourself. It builds a kind of trust. Not confidence in the sense of I'm doing this well, but something quieter. I don't disappear from myself when it feels pointless. That's very different. Because most things in life are easy to continue when they feel rewarding. But the real question is, what do you do when they don't? Do you step away? Or do you stay just enough to not lose the thread completely? And I'm not talking about forcing yourself to write pages and pages. Sometimes it's just one page, sometimes it's barely half. But you open it, you write something, and you close it. That's it. And it might not feel like much in the moment, but over time, that consistency, not intensity, begins to shape something deeper. You stop depending on motivation, you stop waiting to feel ready, you just return. And that return becomes familiar, almost natural. If you think about it, anything that has stayed with you in your life hasn't stayed because it was always easy. It stayed because at some point you didn't leave when you could have. Writing works the same way. So it's not about is this still helping me, it's more about what happens to me if I stop showing up for this right now. And that answer doesn't have to be dramatic, it just has to be honest. Because sometimes the most important part of a practice isn't what it gives you immediately, it's what it slowly builds when you decide not to quit, even when it would be easier to. And if you've ever been in that space lately, where writing feels a little flat, a little repetitive, I'm curious. What usually makes you stop? Not the obvious reasons, the real ones. You can keep it simple, even a few words are enough, because that's often where the pattern begins. And once you can see it, staying becomes just a little more possible. Not perfectly, but just enough to keep going, one page after the other,